Cookie friends, welcome back to Kelly Does Stuff, and today is part 3 of creating my witch tree, and I have to do that now because I've done it every time. And we're gonna take that pool noodle and try to make it look like real bark. Get it as close to like a real tree as we can. And to do that, we're going to carve up pool noodle. Ow! And we're gonna paint pool noodle. That is what this video is, carving and painting. Also this. Put it down so nice. We're just gonna get right to it. Oh, but I do wanna mention, I paint outside because, you know, I make a mess. And we know we got that cicada situation going. They're continuing to scream. So I am using a mic. I think the mic sounds kind of tunnely and muffled. I don't totally love the sound, but I was like, well, maybe I'll just give it a try for this video. So I would love your feedback. What do you think about the sound of the mic? Should I get like a new mic? Should I just like skip it, just voice over? Your feedback, would love it. Let me know. And let's go ahead and turn pool noodle into a tree. Ow! Yeah, that feels amazing. Yeah, that's the reminder. Go cut away from you. If you're cutting towards you, don't put, I won't show you my bloody finger. Don't put your finger right in the way. And probably, you know, if you're gonna like start picking the pieces out, set your blade down. File that under things we shouldn't have to say, but for some of us. Away, here. I'll practice what I preach. Carve away from you. So long, slow strokes will get you long, smooth cuts. Am I really explaining this? Okay. This is good. Really quick, fast. Be careful. We'll get you these good, like holes in there. Thank you for explaining the obvious. You're welcome. Change the name of my channel. Kelly Does Obvious Stuff.
I'll be honest, the carving part was pretty tedious, so I was pretty excited when it was time to start painting. If you haven't used your paint in a while, make sure you shake it up because the water and the paint and I don't know, it all separates and it's really watery. So I'm doing a base coat in black. This was a brush that we had. It's like an actual like paint brush, you know, that way. And I am trying to like dip a pretty good amount on here, I think, because we just want to like really coat it to start. One thing I am thinking was a possibility that we could have done was paint the whole thing before we scratched it up and cut it up with, you see me? This is natural. Before we were cutting it up to make the bark with the blade, I think that maybe we could have painted the whole thing black because the paint goes on really quickly, obviously, when you don't have all the cuts and ridges. Then let that dry and then go back in and make the cuts because we're obviously not going to be getting the dark black paint into all those cuts. And then you can get the smaller brush and then go in those spots. Okay, so a lot of the tree is covered. I think there's a pretty good base, and that big brush is just kind of getting a little bit unwieldy. So I'm gonna go in, wait, no, can you see it? Here it is, with a much smaller brush, and try to start getting into some of those cuts and crevices, and there are a whole lot of them. So had I thought super far ahead, I think I would have done maybe the whole tree in the green pool noodles, because I think it's going to be really cool to let some of that green show through. Although orange, definitely a Halloween color. And actually maybe it just will be more interesting to have several different colors coming through. I mean, who's to say it's not an actual orange and green tree? All right, so the tree is black. The pool noodle took the paint really well. It's pretty much dry. And so what I'm going to do is go ahead and start doing the next coat. And it's gonna be a pretty heavy brown coat. All right, I'm trying to get a lot of this like excess off of the brush because I just kind of want to start light. Let's see what happens. What's gonna happen? Here we go. Yeah, good. That's the brown I want. Exactly what I'm going for. Okay. Good.
While I was waiting for that brown paint to dry, I got to work on detailing those roots. And remember a while ago when I proposed that maybe you could skip the whole carving and cutting up of your tree, go straight to painting because the paint went on so quickly when those pool noodles were smooth, and then wait for that paint to dry and then carve it up and then go paint all those grooves? Yeah, don't do that. I think it is much faster to go ahead and completely carve up your tree and then paint it black and go in with that tiny brush to get all the grooves. This just felt like I was doubling my work.
Okay, this just looks like a blend of nothing. The tree's brown, okay? That's what we wanted. What I'm going to do next is add in, I think, just kind of more of this brown color, but just in some spots. I don't want this tree to be too light brown. If anything, I wanted any of the lighter color, I wanted to have more of a shade of gray to it. And to get a little bit of inspiration, I took a look at some of the trees that I have in my yard to look at the areas that kind of have that lighter brown color, but you can see there's also a lot of gray. So that's kind of the, like more the I'm not sure what I'm saying. I feel like I'm trying to like explain it, but it's more like, let me just do it. I'm gonna go just a little bit, I think. And I'm gonna take some of this from yesterday that was still in here and mix it in just maybe a little bit more. Making it up as we go along. And also, I'm gonna not completely mix it in, so we've kind of got the dimension of color. All right, so now, let's see. I'm gonna just dab the tip here, the littlest bit. And I always like to start smallest, and then obviously we add more as we go. So let's see if you'll even be able to see it, since you don't really have. Maybe I can lighten up. You see, I do that every. Look at it. Okay, ready? I want to pick the area. Maybe this. Use that one. Yeah, I like it. I'm putting this just such a light amount on the brush, hardly any.
Okay, so the light keeps changing here, making the tree look like a different color than it actually is. Sometimes it looks lighter than it is or grayer than it is, but just if you're curious, it is actually a very dark brown, that original dark brown that I put on there, and then some lighter shades in selective spots of that lighter brown. And I think you get the idea of what I'm doing here, so I will continue this and then pop back in when it's time to add some other colors. Okay, now the fun is really beginning by adding that green. These were a couple different shades of green that I was considering. Ultimately, I just ended up using that shamrock color and then blending it in with that honeycomb color there. And I'm going to use a couple different size brushes for this, and this is really where that dry brushing technique is going to come into play, and I have covered this on a lot of my videos. Now here you can see I'm mixing two different colors, and whenever I mix colors I will use one brush to mix them, but that is going to be too much paint on my brush. So to actually apply the paint, I'm going to use a different brush so I can control how little amount of paint that I want to add onto my brush, and we're just going over quickly and lightly over the surface and letting that green hit those raised areas. Okay guys, here's your reminder that whatever project you are doing, you are in charge and you get to decide what it looks like. You can have it look as realistic as you want and think about where is that moss gonna grow in real life, or you can decide, hello, it's a fantasy witch tree and I'm deciding where the moss is going to grow and what other colors I'm going to have on my tree and where I'm going to put them. Just have fun with them. I probably could do this every day for the next like 10 years, but I do really want this tree to be done for Halloween this year. All right, it kind of looks like nothing is happening here, and I've actually slowed down these clips because I'm hoping if you really look, you can see that the smallest amount of paint is actually being applied to our pool noodle tree here. It's hitting the edges and it's hitting any of those bumpy parts of our pool noodle to kind of pull out those details with that lighter paint color. And this process continues for as long as you want it to, adding the different shades of tan or brown or green, whatever colors you're looking for. I added a little bit of light gray, even like a tinge of white in some of those spots to highlight some of the edges and ridges and to pull out any of those details that I wanted to. This was truly a blast. Honestly, I could have done this forever. All good things must come to an end. Let's take a look at our painted tree. Thank you guys so much for joining me for part 3. Come back soon for part 4 where we start adding branches, moss, leaves, and other details. I hope you'll like this video, subscribe to my channel if you haven't. I look forward to seeing you guys next time, and happy creating!